What's going on, everybody? Down at the shop again, doing a little shop day. Got a few projects, small projects, little bookends, so to speak. Not really any big subjects, but a couple of different little things that we're going to get into, hopefully. And I figured maybe get some footage of what I'm doing. Update. I don't know if you saw the last video. I brought the compressor back to the house and tried it on my 15 amp circuit that I used to run it off of, which the last video I went and replaced the motor thinking that was it, and it turns out that it wasn't, and it ran fine. What happened when it blew the fuses, or blew the breaker before, and I didn't realize, is I had a small space heater in my office next to the garage that turns on and off. You know, basically you put an a temperature on it, and it turns on and shuts off as it gets up to temperature, and then when it gets cool again it turns back on. I forgot to shut that off when I was running it, or I realized that that was running the whole time. So the compressor was working fine until that was in its process of heating up, and then it would trip the breaker. I thought the issue was the compressor, so it turns out it wasn't. So I ended up buying a gas-powered air compressor, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's about double the price as one of these. These run the high threes, 370 or 380, I think I paid for it. And it's got very little use. But to use it down here at the shop without having any power, I need to run it off the generator, which it doesn't run, or it runs until it cycles up the pressure and then it won't run. I thought that the generator that I bought would be able to run this. That wasn't the reason I bought the generator. I bought the generator for the camper and double duty down here. So I ended up selling the commercial or the contractor style generator that I had down here because A, it was super loud. I liked the one that I just got, and B, it was producing about the same capacity as this quiet one, so there was no sense in having it. So long story short, this compressor is now going to be up for sale. I'm selling it, you know, just on Marketplace or whatever, you know, a couple $100 or, you know, whatever I end up getting for it. I don't really need it anymore. I'm not using it at the house, and I now have the gas air compressor for any time I need a compressor. So the good thing about the gas air compressor, A, I can use it for irrigation blowouts. It puts out, I believe it's 13 SCFM at 40 PSI. There's talk back and forth about what pressure and size CFM you should use to blow out irrigation systems. I've blown out irrigation systems with this in a generator before without issue. Got it nice and dry, never had an issue, never had a freeze. The gas compressor is capable of double what this does. So it's plenty. A lot of people do use that gas compressor for blowing out irrigations. I've only got, I think, 15 or so to do. So every year, rather than renting a compressor, I now have that gas one, rather than either renting or bringing a generator and this compressor to try to do it. So that's good. And also having that gas compressor down at the shop where I have no power, I can run the air compressor and run the generator and have full 20 amp service for electric, for grinding or welding or whatever, while the air compressor is also active. Before, if I was going to run the air compressor off my generator, I could only run that, and as I was using it, I couldn't do anything else. So the problem would have been if I went to go paint, say, a car or a truck in here, and I wanted to have all my lights on, which need to run either off of solar, which with all my lights on, probably only going to run about an hour, and unless I upgrade my system, and then the battery is going to be dead. Which is fine for occasional coming down to the shop here and there, but if I'm going to stay down here like doing a big project, I need to run the generator for lights. So if I was running the generator on the compressor, I wouldn't be able to run all the lights. Now I'm not limited. I can fire up the motor on the compressor, have it outside, whatever, out of the spray booth or out of the garage, so I don't hear it as much, and also run my generator. I'm pretty much full setup down here without having any hard wires, so to speak. So I got the generator running now just for the lights in the garage so I don't waste my solar. Now to the projects today. First thing I need to do, a couple things. I bought these ramps Don't know if you saw my previous video, but I had set up my ramps on hinges on the back of this dump trailer, which worked out to finish out my mowing season. The more I thought about it, I knew that there had to be a better way, and I came up with a better way. And that better way is having lighter ramps. Those were pretty light and not bad on the hinge, but they're kind of a pain to deal with. I had all this set up. I did all this welding, as you can see, to put these, these hinges on and stuff. So I'm going to cut all this off, whatever, it was practice welding. And these ramps are great for a couple of reasons. A, they're a foot longer than the other ramps, which gives me less of an angle for driving the walker up. And B, they weigh less than half what the metal ramps do. I think the metal ramps are about 75-80 pounds, and these are like 30. So I looked up online, and I had this idea originally, but I thought I would have had to have them made because they needed to be a certain size to be able to fit in these pockets that are in my dump trailer. Found this pair online, $370 shipped to the house, made as is, a foot longer, nice and light, 6,000 pound capacity, 3,000 each, and they're the perfect dimension to fit in here besides the length. Now the trailer's long enough, there's just a pocket under here. At the end of the two rails for the pocket, there's just a flat piece of steel that goes across as a backer plate. So when you slide the ramp in, it hits up against it. All I need to do is cut that backer plate off, just a couple of welds, and remove it. And then I can slide this ramp in all the way so it disappears. At that point, what I think I'm gonna do is I'll have this slid all the way in probably to about here. Probably have them stick out a little bit. And I'll utilize this hole right here, maybe add another one with a little pin. So the pin slides, maybe I'll put weld on the side here, the other pin with a little spring, and I'll drill a hole in the side of this ramp so the pin will slide right inside this ramp. So I'll just have a little pull pin, slide the ramp out, slide it back in, it'll click into place, and that'll hold the ramp in place. Rather than dealing with this door, which I'm gonna cut this off, this is gonna go bye-bye. I didn't like this from the second I bought this trailer. As soon as you dump with this up and clipped, dirt and stuff gets in between here and here, and it rests in here, which A, rusts it out, and B, makes this a pain to deal with. So you got, every time you open this to get the ramps out, you had to scrape all the dirt out. Just a sloppy setup. So I'm cutting this off, using these ramps, be able to slide them all the way in, eliminate these hinges that I put on here. This will stay because this is where the ramp clips on, and as I'll show you, these ramps will be a lot easier to deal with just carrying a pin out. Find the balancing point. You can see one hand, no problem lifting this up. Okay, and on the end, same thing like the other ramps, just has a piece of angle, and that will clip. Of course, the door has to be open to do this, but you'll see that'll clip right on this rail right here, and I'll be able to slide them back and forth where I want them, how I need them. And now I've got a much better approach angle for loading up the walker. So what I do need to do is there's a little cross piece right here and here, kind of a support on this rail. So just a flat bar steel goes all the way across, and then on the two ends it connects, and then in between it connects. Now right where this is where I need the ramp to be, to have the two ramps close enough so that the walker third wheel doesn't fall in between the ramps. So I need to have them about 6 inches apart, and it's like 10 inches or whatever. It gives me a couple inches leeway just so the tire doesn't fall between the ramps when I back the walker up. So what I'm going to do is adjust these ramps, put them where they need to be, and find the right distance. And I'm just going to leave this in here like it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to cut a little notch right inside here. So that'll serve two purposes. A, it'll allow me to clip this on where it needs to be, and it will stop the ramp from shifting side to side when I'm loading the walker up, so I don't have to worry about it falling. So this will work out great. You know, each lawn I do have to, you know, take the ramps and slide them in, as opposed to lifting them up and dealing with these clips. But it's not a big deal, especially once I put these pins on. These doors are all gone, you know, they're light. Basically just pick them up, slide them in, they'll click into place, boom, boom, done. I mean, it's not going to take any more time than it would be putting a gate up and, you know, fiddle in with the latches for the gate. So that was a great improvement. Probably going to keep my steel ramps just in case I am putting a heavy bobcat or something that I don't want to damage these ramps. You know, I'll just have those, leave them in behind the shop or something, so if I do need them for a heavy duty application, just so I don't overload these. Again, they're 3,000 pounds a piece. They'd be good enough to put a car on. Most skid steers are, you know, small skid steers are 4,000, 4,500 pounds up to like 6,000, but there are like 8,000 pound skid steers. It's about the max that I could put in here for size wise, that I would want to probably use the steel ramps for instead of these, because especially if you push right in the center right here where that aluminum is, like if the bobcat tire, you know, these are going to bend a little bit anyways through time, which is no big deal, but I don't want to mess these ramps up or risk breaking them. But yeah, this is a solid aluminum square tube all the way around, nice and thick. Literally, I don't think if I had these made that I would have done anything different. They're like perfect for this trailer and the application that I'm using them for. So I was excited about that. The reason I started thinking about that is because having those ramps up on the back of this trailer like I had made it in the way of the leaf sucker that I connected on. So I would have left those ramps the way they were. They worked out fine. And you know, I never did any final adjustments on them to get them absolutely perfect, because I knew that something was going to change. So I just got through the season and you know, I figured I know I'm going to do a leaf sucker. Let me get that hooked up and mounted up, and then I'll figure out ramps from there. And that's exactly what I did. So this worked out perfect. That's all set. I'm able to load the walker in. So I'm going to notch those, clip those on, get that all set today. The other thing I need to do is this locking mechanism that clips here and here to hold the doors shut, which is oh so important now, even more so that the leaf loader is connected to the back. I ended up cutting and changing the angle of this handle, so closed position is here instead of closed position being here and latched on. There was a latch mechanism right here that I saved and I'm going to weld back on. So this actually needs to be turned around because of this angle needs to go the other way, and we want it so when we close it the handle's flat up against here. So I got to cut this off again, re-weld it. You can see where it was over here, and put this latch mechanism back on. The reason I had to do this was to make room for the ramps that I had before. So those ramps made me change this, which weakened that basically for this. So basically taking all that stuff off that I did, putting this back to how it was. Had I thought of just getting the aluminum ramps to begin with, I would have saved all that, but live and learn. It is what it is. Got a little practice welding. So today I want to cut this off, re-weld it, put my latch back on, put a little primer and paint to make it nice so it doesn't rust. I'm not going to cut off these hinges and these pins yet and deal with those yet. I did cut off this one. I had one of these over here just to get it out of the way when I was dealing with the leaf sucker. But the bottom hinge that I added is still there, and this one's still there. So at some other time, maybe over the winter when I get bored or there's less important things to do, I'll cut that off and paint that up to make it look good again. So, but that's my project at hand. Let's see, what else do I got going on? I did suck up some more leaves yesterday afternoon, trying out the leaf loader. It does work good. Still on the fence whether I'm going to raise those sides or not. We'll see how it goes. For now, it's functional the way it is. I did add my green touch rack on the front of the trailer here. Connected, bolted through, 2 bolts in here, right through this main support, which is really nice. I got just drilled a hole here and put the hose clamp there, which is good. And I put it in a position where I can open this up. It's not in the way, still full access, so no issues there. I did have to move this handle though. The handle was on this side and got in the way, so luckily I was able to move this over to this side, and now I can just jack it from over there. So that worked out good. So far so good. I like that there. Mounted my small tank holder on this fender, really rigid, which is nice because it barely sticks out. Maybe just that pin sticks out a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to keep a nice thin profile going down the road, so I don't have anything really sticking out any more than what already was. Like I said, that trimmer just sticks out maybe a little bit. That's about it. So yeah, just small improvements, really making this trailer exactly what I need and multifunction. And I went and blew out a irrigation system last night too. Tried out the compressor, the new one, for the first time, and works like a champ. It's a little loud. I think that that generator over there has spoiled me because it's pretty quiet, but it's not a big deal. You know, you only use the compressor when you're doing loud stuff anyways. So got a couple of hoses there, and but let's see, what else do we got? Always something going on. I also bought some rust begone fender flares. My plan here is to mount those up, and as you can see, oh, this must be the one for the other side. This one here, I think we got it. Yeah, that's the right one. As you can see, that covers up the rusted areas for the most part. I think when that's just a little bit right there is going to have to be touched up, but that eliminates the rusted areas. So I'm not a big fan of these fender flares, but for 70 bucks I bought them. What I'm going to do is take my grinder wheel and I'm going to cut, you know, I'll put a piece of tape over where the flare is going to be so I don't go too far to an area that I would see once the flare is on, and I'm going to cut out this rot with my grinder or my cutoff wheel, and try to get all of that rust out as much as I can, so it doesn't spread anymore. This little bubble here I'm going to have to just hit with my sandblaster and prime, and probably just touch that up and try to fade the paint in a little bit there. Doesn't have to be super perfect, but just so it looks a little better. And then I'm going to treat all the bare exposed metal, maybe with the primer and you know, some type of probably just paint, you know, whatever color paint, doesn't really matter because you're not going to see it, just to slow down the rusting process that's happening. There's a good chance that this is probably inside farther. I'll treat what I can while I have it apart, but that'll prolong it a few years and not look like this. Not to mention, I don't believe that it will pass inspection. I haven't tried, but I'm pretty sure with jagged rusty metal they won't allow vehicle inspection either. So I would like to, you know, put new bedsides on or take the time to cut this out and weld in new panel. I may still do that in the future, who knows, but for the immediate future I want to get an inspection sticker, and it's the end of the season, and as you can see I have plenty of other things to be doing right now. 70 bucks was a good answer. Like I said, cut out some, and then we're going to throw those flares right over. So I think it'll look good. I actually don't mind the look of the flares in the back. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the flares in the front on these trucks, but I have to put them on the front for the simple fact that it's going to look stupid if you only have flares in the back. But I'm going to have to just, the flare comes right down here, so I'll have to move this logo. Probably just take it off and put it, I think right up here is where the later model ones are. Maybe do something about this antenna when I sand that and touch that up. But this will be covered with the flare. Cut that off. This I can touch up. The rockers are all clean and good shape. Cab corners are all good. And then just this, and the truck will pretty much be eliminated of visible rust. Maybe a little on the corner of that tailgate. For now, like I said, I know once rust starts it's going to come back in certain areas, but that'll at least make it look respectable. This side's much better, but same thing, the flare will cover this here, and it looks like I got a little spot coming out here too that I might have to touch up, but I'd like to eliminate that as much as possible, and it will look a lot more respectable that way. Get me through inspection, because I love the truck mechanically. It's a great truck. It does everything that I need it to do. The price was right. Very happy that I'm back in this truck. And after all the trucks that I've had, I went back to one that I had that I missed the most. So yeah, there's all my updates. Like I said, always something going on. That's why my channel is so diversified. I have welding, computer stuff, business, trucks, mowing, you know, pretty much anything. Yeah, campers, you never know what you're gonna get. But that's what's going on in my life, and the whole idea was to document it, kind of for me to look back in the future and be able to see my days out here getting my knuckles dirty and cutting yourself up trying to make a buck. And that's what I'm out here doing. So hopefully you enjoy watching the journey along with me and get some footage today. We'll start with a little bit of welding and see if I can video that a little bit. You can see some of my horrible welds, although I am getting a little better, a little more confidence, and just using this Harbor Freight welder right here, and off we go. Get that, fender flares, still got the plow to get mounted up, so plenty of things to do. I got about at least a week or 10 days until leaf cleanup start full bore, so I'm hoping to get all this stuff taken care of by then. So those will be the videos you can expect to see in the future. All right, guys. All right, so we ground out all the welds. Oops. I'm gonna go ahead and dress this up, clean it up, get the rust off it, so it's all ready to go. And then we're gonna end up wanting to put it back to there, which would be the closed position, and that latch will end up going right here. Alright, there's my ugly weld. Both sides. It's probably one of the worst welds I've done in a long time. Usually better than that. But there's plenty of penetration and weld there gonna hold. Alright, so now on to putting this latch on. All right, finished product. Paint's still wet, so I'm gonna leave it be, but this is just overspray and dust. It needs a good cleaning. Just repainted that area right there. Looks fine, good enough. Some ugly welds, but they'll hold. And reconnected, ready to go. So that holds that nice and tight now. Clips in really good. Could actually lock it if I wanted to, but I don't think I need to. And I'm just gonna go ahead. Actually, I gotta redo this at some point. I'll repaint that then. Just gonna touch up a little paint up here, and just to kind of keep the rust off this thing. And on to the next project. I'll set you guys up for the first dump with the loader on it. Let's see how it goes. The only note I'd make is make sure we shut the fuel off on the leaf sucker, because tipping it like that, you don't want to end up flooding the motor out. Probably be fine if you didn't, but I shut the fuel shut off, which you should before you transport it anyway. So let's see what we get here. Just got a chain that clips on the side of the dump body to hold the door with the leaf sucker on. Same as the other side, just a longer chain, because you can't swing the door all the way open. And you wouldn't want to tip the motor completely upside down, but tipping it like this isn't going to hurt it. This is only a half a load of leaves. You can also get a good look at the top section now too. Alright, that's it. I'm going to pull forward. Like I said, that wasn't even a half a load. I could fit probably 3 times that amount. I would call that a quarter load. And I don't know if it shows up on camera very well, but it's a pretty good pile. Like I said, I didn't stomp that down or anything, so a little bit stuck up in the end there. This is what I ended up doing. There's the chain with a link on there, and I clip it right on there. I still have that other chain I gotta fix the link on. Had to break the link to get it over the bracket there because it wasn't big enough. Just gonna hit that with the welder. I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, there we go. Not bad. So far, so good, guys.